Hello, friends of Sudoku, and welcome to another medium level difficulty on sudokuexchange.com's website. My recent demonstrations of medium level puzzles seem to have been welcomed by some of my subscribers, so this one is another one of those. However, for this puzzle, I intend to slow down even more to make sure that everyone can follow the thought processes. As usual, I spent a few seconds or maybe a minute familiarizing myself with the puzzle. It is not a puzzle that I expect to be very difficult. It is, after all, a medium level puzzle. But if you attempt a puzzle like this without using pencil marks, you might need a little assistance, and that is what I aim to provide with this video. While I've been talking, I've been looking at the fives. And I'm wondering if you can spot a 5 that needs to go in this chute here, the center chute. A chute consists of 3 rows or 3 columns within the boundaries of these fat black lines. So here is the center vertical chute, columns 4, 5, and 6. So see if you can spot where to place a 5 in this chute here. Here is how I found it. This 5 is blocking up here, and this 5 is blocking over here. So a 5 for row 1 must go either here or here. And that 5 that is going to go here will block here. This 5 blocks here. So the only cell available in this box 2 for a 5 is here. Now see if you can spot where to place a 3. And the 3 will have to go in the first vertical chute and in the first horizontal chute from the top. Here is how you can do this. There's a 3 blocking over and another 3 blocking over and 2 3s blocking up. So the only square not marked by the blue color now is here. So it's got to be a 3. Now see if you can spot where a 2 goes in the grid. There's at least 1 2 that is really easy to spot. Here is how you can do this. You look at this 2 blocking across, and you look at this 2 blocking across, and now you see this 2 blocking up. So for this box number 4, the only place a 2 can go is here. And now you look up and you see that this 2 blocks up, this 2 blocks up, and this 2 blocks over. And here's another 2. Now you look right and you see that the only square that can be a 2 in box 2 is here. Now you look down, you see the 2's blocking down and over, and you say to yourself, well, a 2 must go here or here. Now you look at these 2's here, they block down, and you say to yourself, well, a 2 must go in 2 of these 4 squares. And since we can't yet determine where exactly they're going to go, we just forget about them for the time being. Now see if you can find a 7 and a 4 pair in the grid. It takes a little bit of practice, but once you've spotted this pattern, you will see it appear in so many puzzles. A 7 and a 4 pair. Here is how you do this. You look at the 7 and the 4 here, and you know that they block across here. So these 2 squares have to be a 7 and a 4. And now see if you can work out what this square is going to be. The way we do this is by saying to ourselves, well, this is a 7 and a 4, therefore these must be a 1, 6, and a 9. So if these are 1, 6, and a 9, what is missing in the row? That's right, an 8. And now is a good time to look at these 3 squares and see if we can figure out, because we only have 3 empty squares in the row, so very often it's easy to figure out where a certain digit has to go. What we're missing here is a 1, 7, and a 4. We got a 7 blocking up here, so a 7 must go here or here. And that's actually not all. We also have a 4 blocking up, so we got a 4 and a 7 blocking this square. And that means that this square has got to be a 1. And these 2 squares must be a 7 and a 4. It's also a good idea, I think, to think about these 3 squares, what they have to be. They have to be a 1 and a 9 and an 8. So 1, 9, and an 8. And we know that this is a 7 or a 4. We still need 2 digits over here that are not a 7 and a 4 and a 1, 8, and a 9, and they must be a 5 and a 6. Those I can't place, but at least now I know that a 5 and a 6 must go in 2 of these squares up here. And here is something else that we can at least keep an eye on, even if we can't solve it. As we recall, these 2 squares must be a 7 and a 4. Let's focus on the 4. And now look at these 2 4s. They block over here. So these 2 squares are 4 candidates. So we have 4 candidates here, 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 and here. It's very obvious that we need a 4 candidate also for column 2. So a 4 must go here or here, right? That immediately prompts me to look at this row here and see if I can find a place for a 4. It clearly cannot go here because we just established that a 4 must go here or here. This 4 blocks here, so it can't go here either. This 4 blocks here, so a 4 must go here or here, okay? So a 4 here and here block across. This 4 blocks down, and this 4 blocks down. So a 4 must go here. Now we got this 4 blocking across, and we just discussed how a 4 had to go in one of these 2 squares, didn't we? Now this 4 blocks here, so a 4 must go here. Now see if you can find a good square for a 6. If it's any help, it has to go somewhere in the center chute. Did you find it? I'm sure you did. This 6 blocks down, this 6 blocks up, so here is a 6. Now let's find a good square for a 3. There aren't really many 3s missing in the grid, so it should be fairly easy to find a place for the 3. One way to go about it is to look at these 4 digits here. That's a 2, 3, 4, and a 6, and see if we can find squares for them in this row, because clearly they can't go anywhere here. And since we have a 4 here, we can ignore the 4, but let's look for a 2, 3, and a 6 in these squares. The first thing we see is that a 3 blocks these squares here, and this 3 blocks this square, so it's clear that only one square will accommodate a 3, and that is this square here. Now about the 2 and a 6, we can see that a 2 and a 6 block down here, so the 2 and a 6 must find homes over in 2 of these 3 squares. So now we look up and we see, oh, there's a 2 here and there's a 2 here, so a 2 must go here and a 6 must go in one of these 2 squares here. And as soon as we find this 2, we start looking for another 2, and it's easy to find because this 2 blocks across, this 2 blocks across, and therefore a 2 must go here. Now we only need 2 more digits for these squares here, and we can easily find out what they're going to be. We know that an 8 and a 9 must go here and here. And here's how we can figure out which one of them is going to be the 8 and which is going to be the 9. And to do that, we have to look at this 8 up here, funny enough, because this 8 blocks down here. So one of these squares must be an 8, and therefore this cannot be an 8, ergo it must be a 9. This must now be an 8, and this must be an 8. These two squares now must be a 1 and a 9. As we fill in more digits in the grid, it becomes progressively easier. Let's look at these two squares, and we have to ask ourselves, what must they be? What's missing? Missing is a 5 and a 9. So what do? Well, we look around, and we see this 9. It's blocking down, so this square must be a 5, while this must be a 9. As soon as we find this 5, we have to look elsewhere for a 5. And the way we do this is by looking up and finding this square for the 5. We only have 3 more squares to fill here, and they have to be a 4, 7, and a 6. And we still can't place them. This is a 4, 7, we know that. So a 6 must go over here somewhere. And what I usually do is I try to find out if one of these is a 6, can I find a square for a 6 among these 3 empty squares, because we need a 6 for the column. And I only see this 6 blocking, so I know that a 6 can go here and it can also go here. So that prompts me to stop looking for 6s immediately, because I've got better things to do with my time than looking for things that I can't really solve right now. And of course, that begs the question, what can we do? We can start getting a little creative. Can you find a square for a 5 in the bottom chute? It shouldn't be too difficult because we have 2 5s already. See if you can figure out where to place the 5 in these 3 cells here. Got it? Here's how we do it. We look at this 5 which blocks across. We look at this 5 which blocks down. And we therefore tell ourselves a 5 for the first column must go either here or here, blocking down here. This 5 blocks down here. Therefore, this square is the only one that can be a 5. The next thing we do is we say, well, we've got 3 squares missing, and one of them must be a 7. This 7 blocks this square. This 7 blocks this square. So a 7 must go here. Now we remember that these 2 squares have to be a 4 and a 7. This 7 now blocks up here, making this a 4 and this a 7. Now these 2 squares must be a 4 and a 6. And this square must be a 7. Even if we forgot about the 4-7 pair here, we know that this 7 blocks across. So here's a 7. Here we just need now an 8 and a 1. The 1 blocks down, of course, so the 8 must go here and the 1 here. This 1 blocks across. This 1 blocks down, so this is not a 1. And we do remember that a 6 had to go in one of these 2 squares. So if it's not a 1, it follows that it must be a 6, and the 1 must go here. Now that we found this 1, we really need to look elsewhere for a 1. And the first thing we do is we look up. No 1 can go here. Now we look down. No 1 can go here. Now we look across. No 1 can go here. Here's a 1. These 3 squares, we have to figure out what they can be. They can be a 9, 8, and a 4. And we actually can't place any of them because the 9 goes down here, the 4 here, and the 8 here. But no problem. We'll find another way to figure it out. What can these two squares be? They can be a 9 and an 8. We can't figure them out yet, so we have to look elsewhere. What about these two squares? They must be a 6 or a 4. Here we have more luck because this 4 blocks here, making this a 6, and this therefore must be a 4. This 6 blocks up, making this a 6. This 6 blocks across, this 6 also blocks across, and this 6 blocks up, so here's a 6. These two have to be a 9 and a 1. Now we got this 1 blocking up, so the 9 is forced to go here and the 1 here. Here we are looking for 3 digits, namely an 8, 5, and a 9. And we can't solve any of them, at least not yet. What are we looking for here? We are looking for a 4 and a 6 up here. And what else is missing? One more digit is missing from this column, and that digit is a 9. A 4 and a 6 can't go here. So the only digit that can go here now is a 9. This is now a 4-6, and this is a 4-6, except we have a 6 already present in the row, so this is a 4, this is a 6, this is a 4. Now we just need a 9 and an 8 for these two squares. A 9 is blocking down, so here's the 8 and here's the 9. And that makes this square an 8. These two must be a 7 and a 3 now. The 3 blocks over, so a 3 must go here and the 7 must go here. This 7 blocks over, so does this and this. So here's a 7. We still don't know what to do with the 1 and a 9 pair up here, but I have the feeling that we'll get around to them very, very soon. Let's look at these two squares. They must be a 5 and an 8. We have a 5 blocking down, so here comes an 8 and here's a 5. These two now must be an 8 and a 9. We have an 8 blocking across, so the 9 must go here and the 8 is forced to go here. These two now must be a 3 and a 1. We have a 3 blocking up, so here's a 1 and here's a 3. Remember the 1, 9 up here? Now we have this 1 blocking up, so the 9 is forced to go here and the 1 here. This 9 blocks down, so here's a 9. And the last digit here, of course, is a 5. This is another example of how you can easily solve a not too complex Sudoku without using any pencil marks at all. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.